You're welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. It is time for our online news review with two of my co-hosts in the persons of Miss Miriam Abnadidi and Mr. Clement Yaban Kwe. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Yaira.
How are we doing?
We're doing so well. I mean, we had a very long weekend, very restful one. All thanks be to our first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, for giving us the opportunity to have a holiday, in the month of September.
Yes.
It has been a... Clement, you think I shouldn't talk about this?
Oh, you should.
So why is Mimi saying all this? You don't know what this means to me.
But you went to the forest.
Oh. No, I was just resting, I mean.
But I like the fact that we still are able to honor our, very first president, president of the First Republic, the one who led Ghana into independence.
Today.
Yes.
I think one thing that, yesterday a lot of documentaries were played about him. But one thing I took out of the documentaries was the fact that Nkrumah represented Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
He wanted Africa to be united. And to him, he only saw that Africa would only succeed if we come together as one to, manage our affairs without any external forces. So I think that is one thing that I think leaders of today can emulate for us to have, the kind of country we want and the continent we want.
Yeah. And also, I think Ghana is still riding on the things that Kwame Nkrumah implemented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That those things of 100 years, even though he probably did not foresee the growth of our population, these things are what are the foundations of what we have now. And the governments that have passed have not been able to match up to where they've been able to build up just a little, but not enough. It's like the pace setter. Yes, even Christ, like you like to mention, says we will do more exploits than he did. But it seems as though we have not had any government or any president that has come to do more than Kwame Nkrumah has done. And that is seemingly why his name still resounds about 100 years on.
Exactly.
And that we are truly grateful to our president. He's forever in our hearts. His legacy will live on. Clement, yes. Do you have any trending story?
Yes. So over the week, I think on Friday, Saturday, there was news about CLOCSAG, its intended strike action.
Yes.
That's from 25th, God willing, tomorrow. And the whole issue is supposed to link with the Fair Wages and Salary Commission migrating about 900 members of CLOCSAG to the TVET service without any confrontation, without any notice to CLOCSAG. And they are saying that if they don't revert what they did, then there will be strike action that's starting from tomorrow. One may ask, why should they embark on such action? It's very important because such people have been with the civil service for quite long. People have worked for 32 years, and now you've migrated them to a TVET salary structure, which has a lot of differences with that of the civil service. So people's salary are going to reduce. That is one. People who are supposed to be on promotion, who are ripe for, let me use the word ripe for promotion. Such people are not, they are going to be denied such access. So it's a good cause, and we are believing that government and Fair Wages and Salary Commission should listen to CLOCSAG as soon as possible. For its members, already we have a lot of issues with condition of service, and this thing has just come up. So we believe that they will listen to CLOCSAG, and such members will be reverted back to the civil service.
And I'm happy that we are talking about civil service because today we are celebrating one renowned civil servant in the country, Mr. Nathan Kwao, and we are doing that to honor his 7th, excellence lecture and award happening today and it is on the theme, the Weberian Ideal of Political Neutrality Among Civil Servants, a review of the situation in Ghana. And so I think when it comes to civil service, a lot needs to be done about it, you know, enhancing the working conditions of civil servants and the rest. So when we have leaders or pioneers who set the pace for civil servants, I think they are worth celebrating.
Yeah, that's true.
And on my trending stories,
let me just add something to what you just. I think that's one major trending story. That's there's going to be an excellence award today at Clocksack Auditorium, and that's lecture. You see, it's a good thing that we need to celebrate people of such nature, because Nathan Anamkar once said that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will make the country move forward, not the politician. So if civil servant perfection is what we need in this country, then the governments need to pay attention to civil servants. They really need to pay attention to them. And that's political interference in the affairs of civil service here and there need to be taken off. When we look at the theme for this year's awards, it's so good because it's left with about 2 months to election. And 2 months to election, we're talking about politics and how civil servants need to be neutral. I think that is the best thing. Because Clocksack, I remember as at last year, people who engage in the assembly election, they released a communique that said people should stop or they should resist from it. It's all because we need to be neutral in our affairs. You get it? And it's a good thing that they are going to do.
So, yeah, still on the Weberian ideals, a little bit based on the background I also have, I was able to find some information on that. And it actually talks about 4 main ideals, and the first one is impartiality, that as civil servants, you shouldn't be partial to any government, to any rules or laws. You're civil servants, so you are just loyal to the service. Then we also have professionalism, where they are supposed to be promoted based on competence, merit. Everybody at whatever position is supposed to be there based on the merit or their competence. And this competence too can come from the training they are given. Then the third one is separation of politics and administration. So we shouldn't always have politicians be the ones selecting the administrators or having so much of a hand in the administrative,
work of the
service and things like that. Then the last one is also about longevity beyond political terms. I think even now we have an issue like that where sometimes certain people are no longer employed when certain political parties are no longer in power, which should not be happening to the civil service, because that could undermine the efficiency. So I think later today during the 7th Nathan Annan Excellence Awards and Lecture, we will hear more about this because we have my former lecturer, Ransford Jampo. He will be, Professor Ransford Jampo will be coming to, he's the special guest, I think, And I also think he's going to be speaking on that.
In the course of the show too, a documentary will be playing as well.
So we'll be discussing the fundamental or foundational tenets of the civil service with a very, very esteemed person. So just stay tuned. We'll be watching that very soon. We'll be having that discussion with him. And one other thing I also wanted to talk about was the fact that we have protests. I think that there are scheduled protests every year for some time now. I think even last year on the day we celebrate Kwame Nkrumah, and to raise awareness or share our grievances of the state of affairs in the nation. And it brings me back to, the fact that it is on the day we are celebrating Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. It brings me back to his quote saying that Ghanaians are not timid. Ghanaians are not timid people, as has been suggested in some quarters. Far from it. They may be slow to anger, but once they are aroused, they can strike deadly force. And I love it so much because we are known as Ghanaians to be hospitable. We are so cool, peaceful. Because even the Nigerians who come around, they say, hey, Ghana is so chill, Ghana is so calm. But I think we are starting to realize our power. We are starting to get angry. And, like they said, enough is enough. We're starting to we've had it, so you see that there are more protests arising because almost every time we come here, there is a protest story. Even today, I think we even have 2 protest stories. And it's coming from various different angles and parties in the country. And it definitely has to send a message to our leaders. Yes. And Kwame Nkrumah was so right in his quote about Ghanaians, and I'm glad that we are coming out to really, really voice our grievances, even though certain things still need to be polished around our protests, but we will go through with it.
But
so yes.
Before you go, I just want to say one thing to viewers. Viewers need to stay glued to Clock TV, as you said, for the sake of the program, especially civil servants who might not be able to come to Clocksack auditorium. They should stay glued to their TV station and tune into Clock TV to watch live coverage of the program. If you are driving, you log to Clock TV Facebook page, YouTube page, and get to understand why it's important for civil servants need to be neutral in your political affiliations. And it's really going to help us a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. So Mimi, what is your trending story?
Right, so I have a lot, but because of time, I'll just hit them, just highlight them and then we move on. Because over the weekend, a lot of activities, took place looking at the Electoral Commission's ballot for presidential elections, which happened over the weekend, where aspirants had to go and select their numbers to be positioned on the ballot paper. There were issues surrounding that. Some people said there were some, backlashes, some kind of, because the incumbent government got the first slot, which people still do not understand why it should be so. Even after, trying for the second time, they still picked the number 1. So a lot of people have raised concerns. And also the National Democratic Congress, NDC, also picked number 8. And we all know how the NPP has been making noise, on breaking the 8. Now, NDC is now having the 8. So what
kind of drama is going on?
The irony,
One funny thing I saw on social media, one person said, hey, so what would NPP use their breaking the 8 t-shirts for? Would they trash it to the bin? Or they are going to come to new
They should just give it to the National Democratic Congress because we are together. Ekria Donko, our very own, also picked number 3. And she said she's representing the Holy Spirit, the Father, and then the Son, because God is with her. Alan also picked number 9, and he said he's a striker. And so he's coming to strike. It brought so many drama, and a lot of people were talking about it. And we also have our independent candidates, also following. I think from the 11th slot to 14, we had our independent candidates.
Chada followed. Alan was number 13.
13.
Yes, Alan was number 13.
Okay, thank you very much for the correction.
So who was number 9 then? Maybe it was Chada.
Yeah.
No, Chada, Alan, and the last, I think, George.
Okay, number 9 is Hassan Ayariga. He has been very consistent when it comes to elections. He's always on the ballot paper, right? And so moving on to the next trending issue, we have the Democracy Hub protest, which we are going to be talking about later in the show. We also have NPP's intention to embark on a strike. I sent it to you the other time that they would not allow NDC's request to be answered because NDC wants the EC to give them an audit of the voter registration. They want to know what is happening because they don't understand why there are double registrations and here and there. And they embarked on a strike, a protest. I think enough is enough. And then MPP also says if EC should grant NDC that request, they're also going to embark. I don't know where we are going as a country, but
the EC, being an autonomous body, should decide what they want to do, regardless of the requests being made.
Because that's a very nice statement.
If the EC does the audit, this is to prove the accountability and transparency factor that the EC, because they owe us that as the general citizen, aside the fact that it is a request from one political party. Now, if the other political party wants to protest, what exactly are you protesting? Because sometimes we need to pick apart these things. Well, you are protesting transparency and accountability.
To them, they find no fault with the EC because they believe EC is also doing.
So if there is no fault, let EC show us there is no fault.
That is the point.
Exactly. This should not be an issue because it seems as though, I don't want to say, for the lack of a better term, yeah, but I say protests near funnyful. But protests are not for frivolous things.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, let's be frank here. Why are you protesting something that will show to the public that, okay, this is what's going on, this is what is faulty, or this is what's cleared, everything. What is the problem then?
They have something.
What does the protest seek to achieve then? These are some of the questions we should ask.
Yeah.
If you want to protest, protest. Let's see. What are you protesting? After the protest, what would you achieve? Because the information that seemingly or is being allegedly hidden will be out.
Exactly.
And then maybe...
So, Yara, let me say a little bit about this. And you see, NPP, they say in 2012, 2016, according to them, they raised the same issue about the voters register, but the NDC, they were like, no. And according to an information, then the EC chair have to constitute a committee of some judges and staff. They sat on the matter to do 1 or 2 on that very issue. They brought their report out before the next action was taken. We want to see how this time around it will go. So I've also got to understand that when you go to Kenya, for example, they do forensic audits on their voters register every 4 years. Why? Because for them, they've passed it into law. They believe, as the transparency we are talking about, they believe that, and then it's this institution that does for them, KPMG, who does their auditing for them every 4 years, their voters register, so that everybody will see that the thing is transparent as we all want it to be. So we don't, as you said, we don't want any chaotic scene in the in this country. Already in the economy, we
should just, assent to it.
So they should sit and have a dialogue and let each party understand. You see, it's during the protest, NDC protest, PPP was part. You talked about PPP was part. I saw the PPP chairman. PPP chairman was part, and his national executive. Other political parties too were also involved, though they didn't voice out much. Even PNC, their flag bearer was also agreeing to the fact there should be a forensic audit to this very issue. And I was listening to NDC over the weekend. They are saying that if there should be a forensic audit, it should be on-peeling done. It should be broadcasted live. Everybody should know what is really happening. That is what they are all seeking for. Not that one person should go sit at one place and bring out his submission that this and that. And over the weekends too, on this same story, I heard that EC, the statement from NPP, it says that EC said they've not gotten evidence of what NDC was talking about. And the NDC also said that, we've gave you some sample of what we did. And out of the sample, you are supposed to go and do the full work because it's your duty, not a political party's duty. So because of that, over the week, I think on Sunday, the Ashanti NDC sent their alleged evidence of what has happened to the EC, that EC should look at this, the evidence. So we don't want any chaotic issue. That is why this Excellence Award is very important to civil servants. Don't involve yourself actively in any political game. Just be transparent. Otherwise, you'll be in the office and someone come and shoot you for no reason. We don't want that thing to happen.
And I think I just came across a short code online by the ECA that if you want to check your voter registration details, you can just log into that and then check. So I think we are also doing something about it. So people should take advantage of it. And
Okay, so let's go quickly into the online news. So we have 2 stories on protests here. So I'll just put them together so we can talk about them because the main thing is protesting grievances. So the first one talks about Oliver Vormawor being arrested for various unlawful acts during the Democracy Hub demonstration. And then the second one talks about the Mortuary Workers Association threatens to strike over poor working conditions. So, again, strike. Now, for the Ghana's Mortuary Workers Association, we know that their grievances are basically about unpaid, allowances. I think even all the way up to 2020, there are COVID allowances that were promised, provision of PPEs and other equipment to use. I think even their utilities, because I think I saw a post on X, somebody said that her relative had died and they were asked to bring their own water to use to wash the body. So this should tell you the poor conditions they are working in, and it seems as though they've been, making their grievances known, but it seems that they've not been heard, and they are threatening to strike now. And then for the Democracy Hub, we heard that about 44 people were detained, arrested, and all of those things. So let's put this together and just talk about it briefly, and then we go to the next story.
Right. So with the first story, which is the Democracy Hub, I followed the story, and it was a 3-day protest, right? It was supposed to be a 3-day protest, but they did 2 days. So the first day was successful, according to them, because they were able to block some major roads, especially the one that leads to 37 Hospital. And that is where they had the protest. And on the second day, I think the Ghana police, from their own intelligence, realized that it is not safe, or it's not even going to help us if you block a major road that leads to a hospital. So why don't you take the protest to a different place? And that was where the riot started. They didn't want to agree to what the Ghana police were saying, and so that is where the issue started. But my concern is, yes, we have a concern. We are protesting against something that is affecting the country, not only us as protesters. Why do we do that at the expense of the health of people?
So my concern also is, before the protest, was the Ghana Police Service aware?
They were aware.
So if they were, didn't they realize that the 37 road that they were going to block is going to be a hindrance to the health facility?
So according to them, they said they gave them a portion of the road where they would stand, but they took the whole road, and then they were protesting.
So we even have a press statement by the police, and I think my producers will display that on the screens for us. So is it legible? I can't.
Yeah, so I think viewers can read from wherever they are watching.
So I think it's talking about the arrest of the convener or the leader of the protest. And I was looking at what did he do? What did he do? But over this morning, I saw a video circulating, and he happens to take the key of the tow truck of Ghana Police. And after taking the key, he ran away with the key and he threw it away. So other police officers were shouting, "Thief, thief, thief." And I was like, why did he do that? And in the story, you could see that he said his car, the car of the protesters carrying water, has been seized by the Ghana police.
So it was in retaliation.
Yes, that is why. That is what he was doing.
And I also saw that an elderly woman, probably in her 60s, was with a young girl, probably between the ages of 10 and 15. They were also arrested. And it begs the question about the police. This is not, even if I sound like I am in favor of the protest, we are all suffering in this country.
Sure.
There are so many issues that are, causing us distress in this country. But the police, you are here to enforce the law and order. It is the law of the land you are here to enforce. But it seems as though the police are enforcing somebody's law. Because now we have a term going around, order from above, where protesters who are here to have a peaceful protest are being arrested. And let's ask, what is causing some of these protesters to act unlawfully? Is it not some form of harassment or, infringement that's causing them? Because I remember the Doomsoma stop some years back with the celebrities and the rest. They were able to protest peacefully. The police were protecting them and everything. So what is happening now?
Yeah, I understand your point perfectly. But you see, sometimes we as human beings allow emotions to heighten at a point. And then we do things that are not supposed to be done. Sometimes when we see the masses, we feel we have the numbers, and so we can do whatever we want to do without any interference.
I mean, I do understand that there are going to be some bad nuts in the collective. But then again, when we've had things like order from above or injunctions placed on a peaceful protest, we are a democracy. We have the right to protest. We have the right to do this. And we are supposed to be within the rules laid down, right? So now, if a peaceful protest, there's an injunction placed on it, what then are you communicating? Because it is different when maybe a group of protesters want to protest at a security zone, and then you tell them, no, that's a security zone, so move it this way, and then they try to defy you. But if they are protesting where they are supposed to be and there is some form of harassment or it looks as though there's chaos, instead of just these people being protected, these people being guided as to where to go, what to do, then there's a big problem in the nation.
Yaira, I understand everything. I'm just trying to look at it from different perspectives. You see, we as a country, or most people have this perception about Ghana police that we are not scared. We'll do whatever we want to do. So probably we were not there, right? So when Clement said the key of the van that carried the water for the protesters were seized, what happened? What transpired before that, happened? Before the convener was even arrested?
So if you're asking what happened, then let's ask what happened for a probably 60-year-old woman. What could she possibly have done to cause her to be detained along with a minor?
So Yaira, let's be so bold and speak on issues like this, because sometimes you deter people who really want to protest, like per what you are saying. If tomorrow I want to join, I'll feel like I'll also be detained, so I will not step out there, and it's kind of infringing on people's rights and making people feel
even
like
our very popular the influencer who is also a lawyer now, I'm a governor.
Yeah.
She was also detained. She was also arrested, and they didn't do. They seemingly did not do anything. Let me put it that way. Allegedly did not do anything, but it seems as though, like you said, we seemingly don't fear the police, so they seem to want to enforce their power. But you know what? The least said, the better, because we don't have much time. Let's go to the last story. Families of 14 Ghanaian hustlers stranded in Russia picket police headquarters. So some Ghanaian men were lured to Russia with promises of employment, who are now trapped in Donetsk in Ukraine, fighting in a conflict they did not choose. These unsuspecting individuals are caught in the midst of Russia's war against Ukraine, facing life-threatening danger daily. One trapped man deployed to the front line shared a heart-wrenching account of his declining health. And he's been weakened and unable to stand, but he's regularly administered unknown substances to keep him fighting. His desperation and fear are palpable as he worries if he could escape or even if rescue will come too late. And I quote, "I don't know how much longer I can hold on. I just want to go home," he told us in a weak, trembling voice.
This is very
At this
sad.
point, yes, I sound like a broken record, and I will sound like it. The standard of living is what's causing people to fall for these kinds of scams. We've heard of the sex trafficking, human trafficking, and now people are being lured to go and fight a war they know nothing about just because they are seeking greener pastures. And what is the root cause of all this? People know that people are in poor conditions of life, so they see that as an opportunity to make money off of these people who are looking for a better life. We already know about the sex trafficking and things going on. Now is, what should we call it, war trafficking?
Yeah, I think it's, and also Ghanaians need to be very careful, especially with this kind of traveling agencies here and there. Because when you look at this issue, it's all as a result of traveling agencies. They were promised to get them a good job, but when they went there, it tended to be a different thing.
This is not the first time this is happening.
Yeah, so we should be very careful. Individuals should be very careful. We understand things are very difficult in Ghana, but please, let's try as much as we can. Wherever you want to go, please try to make sure that everything, you have the details, you have all the information that you need before you step out there, that you are going to work outside the country.
Yes.
If you stay in Ghana, yeah, we know it's very hard, but you will not die.
Akosha, have you heard?
So, and also we implore Ghanaians, we know that, yes, people are evil and it's not good to share your traveling plans with people, but find someone you trust to be able to hold these things accountable for you in case something like this should happen. there could be somebody that would raise an alarm when things don't add up. So yes, this brings us to the end of the online news review. Today our time is very short because we also have to go and join the 7th Nathan Kwao Excellence Awards and Lecture today. So thank you so much for joining me here. I really wish we could have spoken more about these protests because so my heart.
I think we didn't even talk about the mortuary issue.
Yeah. And yes, the mortuary too. Oh, okay. We have one comment here before I wrap up. It says, "Good morning. I think if you had carefully followed the events leading to the protest, you would probably understand the police. I will ask you to listen to the presser by the PRO of the Ghana Police before the protest and you will appreciate what happened. Let me help a bit here. The police had stated categorically to the protesters that they can't use a certain route they proposed since these places are security zones. Yes, we made note of that here. The police further suggested some routes to the protesters. Nonetheless, the protesters remained on the initial position of using the route they had proposed earlier to the police." So this is from Samuel Nkrumah Pobi Adoedri. Thank you very much. Yes. So we thank you for your comment and it was very, very insightful. Up next is the business segment with Clement Yabankwe. Then after that will be lifestyle segment discussing childhood cancers. And lastly, we will be discussing the foundations of the civil service in the main segment. We will be right back.